Once we have the clarification of values, they recognize that this behavior isn't really workable. What we want to start doing is helping them to notice this happening in real time, and then how to change their behavior, how to sit with their experiences when they're difficult. So I will oftentimes bring in some present moment awareness exercises that both in session and that they can practice outside of session, because when someone's experiencing burnout, there's a lot of procrastination, there's a lot of escaping into your head, just kind of apathy that really takes you out of a moment. And so we want to have experiences that take them into a moment. So this could be as simple as having a client put their hand on their chest and on their belly and just practice breathing in to a count of 10. So that might be 1 with the inhale, 2 with the exhale, 3 with the inhale, and so on until you reach 10. What I always tell clients when they're practicing some present moment exercises is that the goal is not to breathe a certain way, to be the best at noticing. The goal is simply to be aware of what is. So if we're doing something related to breathing, we're not trying to modify our breath or change it in any way. We're just trying to notice the pace, the depth, the way your body moves as you breathe. I like the breathing exercise because it's something clients can do, set a reminder for, do it a couple times a day, takes a minute or two, but it really helps them kind of slow down and reconnect with a moment. Another exercise can be practicing doing a simple task and just noticing what that experience is like. So I might ask Jack, for example, when he woke up in the morning, his mind was racing, and I would have him brush his teeth with his non-dominant hand, which when you say it feels super easy, but if you've ever tried to practice, I'm left-handed. So if you ever try to practice with your opposite hand, your mind has to go like, how do I move it? Am I getting the teeth? All of these kinds of things. And it's a very simple exercise that interrupts something that's very routine to be able to pause and focus and notice the sensation. So in this case, it's noticing how you have to move your hand or your muscles to move the toothbrush, noticing where your teeth are in your mouth and whether the bristles are getting all the parts of the teeth. And it's a great exercise to demonstrate how we can pay attention to the tiny, silly little things, and it can really help us slow down and not be so absorbed in our thoughts. So those are some little exercises that I work with clients. If we want to take it a step further to understanding patterns of behavior, I will in session identify moments. So for Jack, it was first thing when he woke up in the morning, and the other big piece was stopping at the end of the day. So he would set a time that he was going to stop working, and then he'd work way past it. So I would practice with him. And I'd say at the beginning, I don't want you to stop working when you normally do. I just want you to watch and notice the moment that you make the decision. And then he'd come back to me. And at the beginning, it was like, oh, I couldn't notice it. Okay, cool. When you look back on that moment, what did you notice? So sometimes people struggle to capture thoughts, feelings, decisions in the moment, but then they can kind of do like a post-mortem. They can kind of look back on that experience and go, okay, I remember I was sending this email and I noticed what time it was. And I was like, I just have to finish this email. And then so-and-so called and I felt like I had to answer it. And we might reflect back. Okay, so your mind was telling you you had to do this thing, or you must do this thing, or you were supposed to do this task. And so you made the decision in that moment, even if it didn't feel like a decision, to not honor the end time for the day. And once we have that information, let's say they can identify a couple of different of these moments, then we're going to explore them in session and go, okay, if you thought about not answering that phone call or messaging him and saying, hey, I'm sorry, can we schedule something for tomorrow? I'm off the clock for the day. What shows up? Fear that I'm going to get in trouble. That thought, like CEOs are supposed to always be available. I'm going to get in trouble if I don't do this. And what paying attention to these moments does is it gives us ideas of what thoughts, feelings, memories, sensations that we need to practice getting some space from, to diffuse from. Because we can guess, but unless they're capturing snapshots of those moments, we don't really know. And I often recommend clients write them down. Most clients aren't going to print out like a paper log. Most clients don't have printers. I don't have a printer. So what I'll often do is have clients write it in like the notes of their phone. I also have some clients that I tell them they can email it to me if they feel comfortable with that, but I will not be responding to the email. I'll just be like saving it as a PDF and uploading it to their file. But if they feel comfortable sharing that over email, they can do that at the end of the day if that's useful, but some kind of way every day or in the moment where they're tracking it, because they will not remember after a week's gone by, for example. So that's a way that they can record what is happening. And you decide in session what are the things to pay attention to. So for Jack, it was that busyness in the morning. It was the difficulty with setting a clear boundary and ending the workday. And then I'd also ask him to pay attention to times when he wasn't working. So when he was sitting down to dinner with his wife, he described that it was hard for him to be present because his mind was constantly distracted with work tasks or all of these different things he needed to do. Or he just had no energy left at the end of the day. Like if you imagine talking to someone and they're just kind of like, cool. Yeah. Like he couldn't pay attention. He couldn't focus. He had nothing left to give. And I would have him pause in that moment and just practice noticing like, oh, I'm doing it again. What is my mind telling me in this moment? What am I feeling in my body? What kind of urge do I have? Maybe urge to check your email or to go to sleep. And when it comes to noticing, I always start with whatever internal experience is most easy for them to notice. So for some clients, noticing their thoughts is very easy because they feel like their mind is talking all the time. It's not going so fast that they can't catch it. And so when they're doing these exercises, I will say to them, okay, notice the thought. And then from the thought, go like, how do I feel in that moment based on that thought? What might my body be telling me? What kind of memory is this associated with? Other clients might be very aware of physical sensations, their hands clenching, their gut churning, feeling like they have a big weight on their chest. Okay, what does that feel like? Can we describe that experience and then be curious about what my mind might be saying in that moment? For other people, they might like really feel the fatigue, exhaustion, the just like numbing effect. And again, we might go into detail of, does it feel like your body is being weighed down by sandbags? Does it feel like, I don't know if you remember those allergy commercials where there'd be like a fuzzy film and then they'd take the medication and the film would come off and life was clear and beautiful? Is it like that film going up and everything's just disoriented and you're a little bit detached from the world? But find the thing that clients are most easily connect to. And you'll notice this just as you're talking, people will talk about thoughts or they'll talk about, I'm just so exhausted all the time. Cool. What does exhaustion feel like? Does it feel like your sinus is filling and your face weighing down? Does it feel like I can't possibly go to the gym right now? It's physically impossible. Okay, so your mind's telling you, I can't do this right now. And that gives us some more information as we go through.